Hello and welcome to EDFL Web TV from the Sporting Globe in Moonee Ponds. Another big weekend of football, and myself, Pellizzeri, and Adem Saricaoglu are here with you at 690 Mount Alexander Road to break it all down. Adem, I normally say what a big week, what a set of upsets or huge results. At last, I think we just had a bit of a quieter weekend where we didn't have a set of results that turned some of the divisions upside down. But still, we're at the business end of the season, and all of them were very important.
Yeah, you're right, Teo. Probably a quiet week in Premier, but certainly Div 1, Div 2, we've probably got some top fours that are now locked in, and what it has done the weekend just gone, it has set up quite an exciting crescendo to the home and away season. Just 1 week to go in Div 1 and Div 2, and obviously 2 weeks to go in Premier. Still a fair bit to play out, so even though not much happened this weekend, what it did do, it sort of set up the stage for what is going to be a pretty big finish.
Now, what was your biggest talking point of the weekend?
Yeah, Division 1 relegation battle is down to 2 now. Hillside guaranteed themselves some safety on the weekend, Teo. The EDFL match of the day out at Martin Reserve, they beat Hadfield pretty comfortably in the end. Unfortunately, I only saw 1 quarter. You were there for the rest of it, but my read on the game was that pretty much Hillside was in control from the start, and from quarter time onward just basically kept a step ahead of Hadfield in that game.
It's interesting because Hadfield did kick the first 3 goals and they exploded out of the blocks, but you called it early. I was still hopeful at quarter time that we would see Hadfield fight against the scoring end, the cemetery end of the ground, but they really weren't able to put up much resistance to Hillside, and then in the third quarter Hillside just dominated against the wind and it was game over, and it ended up becoming 70 points. Hadfield conceded 4 very soft goals after the 22-minute mark of the final quarter, and so when you're giving up 3 points in what is essentially junk time and relegation is being decided by percentage, well, they might have played Craigieburn back into Premier Division next season. Of course, there's 1 round to go, and there's a good chance that Hadfield, who beat Oak Park last time, might be able to pull off the win and stay in Premier if Craigieburn can't beat Taylors Lakes. But it's going to be calculators at the ready, I think. I reckon they'll both lose in the last round, and those 4 goals at the end of a match which was already gone, and perhaps a chance to kick some goals back, repair the damage in junk time and repair the percentage. Instead, Hadfield really didn't show enough fight, and I do wonder if they perhaps resign themselves to relegation already when they shouldn't have. The margin is 1.98%. It's that close, and yet Hadfield's mentality appears to be one of a team that's already given up in the battle.
The 2 games of interest this weekend in Division 1, like I said, the top 4 is already locked in. There cannot be any change here because West Meadows has the bye and they're pretty much guaranteed 4th despite that horrible showing against Tulla, which we will get stuck into probably in the podcast. But the 2 games of interest this weekend in Division 1, it is Craigieburn at Taylors Lakes, coming off the bye. Taylors Lakes absolutely playing for nothing, like I said. And Hadfield goes to Oak Park. Again, Oak Park is safe from relegation, can't make finals. So these 2 clubs that are battling it out to stay up in Division 1, they're playing against sides that have nothing to play for in the final round. So is that an advantage?
I certainly think that Craigieburn has the advantage in that Taylors Lakes, they've kicked a few mammoth scores this year, but on the whole, they have been a low-scoring team. And I suspect that if Craigieburn set the task for 12 goals, there's no way that Taylors Lakes are going to come out and kick 160 or maybe even 180 points or whatever it is to win by enough that a narrow Hadfield defeat will keep them in Premier Division. I've been looking at the permutations if they both lose, and 2%, it may not seem like much now, but if Craigieburn kick a big enough score at the weekend, that it's going to become tough for their percentage to be damaged to the extent that a narrow Hadfield defeat will catch them. So Hadfield, we saw them on Queen's birthday weekend. There's no doubt about it. It was their best performance of the season, and perhaps we've been suckered in by that one performance and scratching our heads as to why Hadfield hasn't been that good in so many other games and situations this season. But do you rate them any chance of pulling off the win against Oak Park and staying up in Essendon for Division 1 for another year?
Well, they're a better chance of winning, obviously, than probably Craigieburn. That's based on form. Taylors Lakes have only just come off beating West Coburg and Tullamarine, so it's a pretty tough ask to go up to Lionheart Reserve and beat the Lakers there for Craigieburn. But yeah, to be honest, I do see these 2 sides losing because I've liked Oak Park at times this year, and I do think they'll finish the season on a high. It's all about the percentage, and for that reason, I reckon Craigieburn's the one going down because they're more likely to lose heavily, I suppose, as opposed to Hadfield, who might run Oak Park pretty close.
Now, we'll get into this in the podcast, all the permutations and the numbers, but Division 2, the race for 4th place, 3 into 1. It'll be either Moonee Valley, it will either be Jacana, or it will be Keilor Park, who plays finals and plays against Coburg Districts. We'll get stuck into all the scenarios on the EDFL podcast segment, but Adam, what are your brief thoughts there on what might happen in the final round?
Yeah, the big one's obviously Jacana versus Keilor Park, because Moonee Valley has to take on Roxburgh Park. It is at home for the Valley, so that'll definitely be an advantage, but Roxy have only lost one game, as we know, this year, and that was against a club that right now is on a pretty big rampage in East Keilor. So Roxy are absolutely flying, and pretty tough ask for Moonee Valley. So not writing off the Valley, but if they go down, the winner of Jacana and Keilor Park at Jacana is the club that makes up the 4th spot.
Can I give you some inside word? This is on the record that might change your tip. Tim Blacker and Matt Mickelson are both out injured.
Rested? Injured.
Injured. Mickelson will be back for the first
not
final,
the general,
I've been told.
Not the general soreness.
Not the general soreness. Tim Blacker's maybe in a bit of a race against time to get himself right to come back from his injury for finals, but the 2 leading goal kickers for Roxburgh Park are out. Moonee Valley's been one of the closest teams to beating them in terms of losing margin. I think the Valley might do it. I reckon they might get in. The issue is that I'm not so sure that Roxburgh Park wants to see Moonee Valley should the worst happen to them in the qualifying final, and then they're staring down the barrel at straight sets against a team that's run them close twice and then beaten them once. My understanding is that Roxburgh Park will be going all out to win. They're not going to be taking it lightly. They're not going to do any favours. They are going to be trying to win. But I think Moonee Valley is in a pretty good situation here, trying to get into that 4th spot. Yeah,
pretty much an elimination final for Moonee Valley, do or die. So we'll see how that all plays out. Not having Blacker and Mickelson, I saw he kick 2 goals on the weekend. Now I probably know why. He obviously wasn't 100%. So it's certainly a big chance there for Moonee Valley. But the more likely scenario could be, in the end of the day, Jacana v Keilor Park, and these are 2 of the clubs, Taylor, that have been quite dishonest in terms of form this year. Both have been very promising at times, and then at other times, especially more recently for Jacana, they haven't really been able to get the job done at all and been quite disappointing. So it's a really important game and really tough to get a tip out of it. If anything, Jacana at home, they did beat Keilor Park on the road earlier in the season. That was on Match of the Day. Back at home, Jacana might be a chance, but Keilor Park, after knocking off Coburg Districts last week, they'll be fancying themselves as well. So really tough game to pick, and obviously very, very vital, and dare say both of those clubs will be barracking for the Roxburgh Park Magpies this weekend.
And to Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division, not the lead story this week on EDFL Web TV, and mainly because it was a bit of a placeholder round. We will preview the Greenvale versus Keilor match for radio broadcast in our next segment, Adem. So just a quick thought on the relegation picture. We're probably no closer to finding out who's going to go down. Pascoe Vale still have the upper hand as far as their record. Essendon Do to Stars still have it all to do. Maribyrnong Park and the Northern Saints looking over their shoulder at the situation right now. And Northern Saints, after getting beaten by 3 figures, well, basically they gave back all the percentage that they'd gained in that amazing win against Airport West. So what are your thoughts? We'll get stuck into it in detail on the EDFL podcast segment, but what are your brief thoughts now on the relegation situation in Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division?
Firstly, on Paco, there seems to be some sort of perception that they're safe. They're not going to go down. They're basically guaranteed not to finish last. That is not true. They have to play Avondale Heights at Canning Reserve this weekend. And the stat that people tend to forget, they have the worst percentage in this division, and it's quite significant just how bad that percentage is. I think it's the only one that's under 70%. So they're not safe just yet, Pascoe Vale. They're going to go right down to the wire unless they pull off some sort of surprise against Avondale Heights this weekend. Marby's got a pretty tough game against Aberfeldy as well. That is at Clifton Park. Essendon Do the Stars. And they're an interesting one, Taylor. They got the Northern Saints in the final round, but they go to Hanson Reserve this weekend to take on Airport West, who seem to be right for the taking. They're playing for nothing. They can't make finals. Airport West can't get relegated, so these last 2 weeks are basically a lead into pre-season next year. Does that put Essendon Do the Stars at an advantage on the road before they host Northern Saints in the final round? That's obviously the big question this weekend. Northern Saints have to play Strathmore at home, so you would suggest that the Saints can't win that game either, but I dare say that one will be high scoring.
Well, they pushed them at Lebanon Reserve last time around, so you never know. We'll get stuck into that, both reviewing the round of Premier and looking ahead to the penultimate weekend of the division in our podcast segment. You're watching EDFL Web TV from the Sporting Globe in Moonee Ponds. Stay with us on the EDFL YouTube channel. You're watching EDFL Web TV from the Sporting Globe in Moonee Ponds. Thanks for joining us on the EDFL YouTube channel. It's time to look ahead to the weekend, and the match for broadcast on Northwest FM and EDFL Team App is Greenvale versus Keilor from Section Road. I've been up there for this match in the past, seen Greenvale win it, seen Keilor win it a couple of years ago. It's always hotly contested between these two teams, and when Mick McGuan rolls into Greenvale, the rivalry never ceases between these two sides. Some, I wouldn't say long memories, but certainly a very competitive situation whenever these two clubs butt heads. It's going to be a great match in isolation, but it's all about context, because Adem, the top four can be sealed should Keilor get the job done, a win or a draw. And of course, if Greenvale win, it all goes down to the final round to work out who will be playing Aberfeldy in the elimination final.
Yeah, we spoke about how in Division 1 and Division 2 last weekend at home and away in the top four is locked in. Same could happen in Premier this weekend. That is if Keilor go up to Greenvale and win. And they say it's been a while since Keilor have been this confident going up to Section Road. It's been, I think it was round 2 last year, last time Keilor went up there, and they pushed Greenvale that day, I'm pretty sure from memory, because it was a broadcast game. But yeah, this time around, obviously, Keilor, massive opportunity for them. If they want to prove that they deserve to be in finals, and they need to win this game, it's as simple as that. And they should, to be honest. But Greenvale, they're playing for their lives now. They lose, they're out. They draw, they're out. They need to win. It's as simple as that for the Greenvale Footy Club. They're going to go at least 500 this year, Teo. They're 9-7, so they're not going to have a losing season. But I dare say a winning season is not enough, so they need to win these last 2 weeks. Greenvale, it all starts this weekend. Looking forward to some of the matchups as well, because some of the best players in the division, we're talking your Browns and your Curettes and your Camposanos. There's a lot of big names in EDFL football that are going to be clashing heads this weekend, so very much looking forward to it. It's two of the titans of the Premier Division. And
just briefly, with regards to who will win and why, I know the storyline, maybe for the neutral is we want things to go to the final round, but part of me also wants Keilor to make the top four. As dramatic and as exciting as it would be in the final round of Premier to have both relegation and the top four going down to the wire, Keilor have put in so much hard work this season. They've really played from in front after that winning streak to start their campaign. As we discussed on EDFL Web TV last week, they haven't actually had a big scalp for quite a while, and if they can get one right here, you feel like they've deserved their place. But Greenvale, they're the defending champ, and they will hold the belt until it's 1, 2, 3. Greenvale, you're out. So what's going to happen? Who's going to win?
Who did I tip in the record, Tayo? Because I tend to forget these things.
I think you tipped Keilor. I think, and you may be in the minority there tipping them, because I definitely tipped Greenvale to win.
Yeah, like I said, Keilor has simply been playing better footy this year, and sometimes their top-end talent can be a little bit underestimated, but it's what's underneath that top 5 or 6 that where the question marks still appear for Keilor. And Greenvale, though, they just simply have not, even against the lower teams, I mean, they didn't exactly smash Paco last week, and they haven't quite been themselves all year. So for that reason, I am tipping Keilor, but I'm not that confident about it, Teo. It's either way, win, lose or draw for either side. It's going to be a big story coming out of that game. So big Saturday of EDFL radio coming up.
That's it for EDFL Web TV this week. Make sure you check out our social media networks that are appearing on your screen right now. You can hear the Match of the Day broadcast on Northwest FM 98.9 and in your pocket on the EDFL's official smartphone app. That is Team App. You can get it for iPhone and Android, and then just search for EDFL in the app and click the live radio button to hear the Northwest FM coverage. Good luck to everyone involved in Junior Grand Finals this week. Thank you to everyone who paid their money and came through the gate at Glenroy last week. I'm going to be at Hadfield this weekend, Adem, so wish me luck. I think it's the first time in a very long time, if ever, that Hadfield has hosted junior finals, so I'm looking forward to that on Sunday, and we'll see you back here at the Sporting Globe in Moonee Ponds, 690 Mount Alexander Road, right here on the EDFL YouTube channel next week. He's Adem Saricaoglu. I'm Pellizzeri. Goodbye for now.